It is National Stalking Awareness Month. Why is it that to deal with stalkers, there was one suggestion almost never mentioned by the mainstream media, and that is the use of a gun for self-defense? My next guest has written a piece called "My Stalker Murdered My Husband. Here's How You Can Protect Yourself." Please welcome to the show the author of Stalked and Defenseless, How Gun Control Helped My Stalker Murder My Husband in Front of Me, and the executive director of the Crime Prevention Research Center, Nikki Goeser. Nikki, thank you very much for coming on.
Hi there, Larry. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Nikki, I know this is unpleasant, but can you talk to us about what happened to your husband?
Back in 2009, my husband, Ben, was murdered right in front of me by a man who was stalking me. And because of Tennessee state law at that time, I had to leave my legal permitted firearm that I normally carried for self-defense locked inside of my vehicle because we were inside of a restaurant that was a gun-free zone. So I obeyed the law. Of course, my stalker did not. He did not have a permit to carry. He brought a gun into a gun-free zone illegally. And when management confronted him and asked him to leave at my request because I realized I was being stalked, he pulled a .45 from a shoulder holster and shot my husband 7 times in front of myself and everyone in the middle of the busy restaurant.
Nikki, were you aware of this stalker? Had you tried to get a protective order against him?
My husband and I ran a mobile karaoke business in the evenings, and this man was a karaoke customer. He became somewhat of a regular. He would come out to sing, and he eventually got kind of creepy and inappropriate. I had to delete him from my social media, and Ben asked him to leave me alone, but he never made any threats, and he never did anything illegal. And I did not realize that he was actually stalking me until that very night that he murdered my husband, when I asked management to please remove him. He had showed up to a venue he had never been before, and Ben had asked him to leave me alone. And that's when I realized, okay, this is stalking.
His motive in murdering your husband, I assume, is to eliminate his competition?
You know, I don't know if I'll ever really fully understand what the motivation was. They brought in, the defense brought in mental health experts. They tried for the insanity defense. That did not work, but mental health experts say he has delusional disorder and erotomania, and he had a lot of untrue beliefs, and who knows? But when the police searched his vehicle at the crime scene, they found 2 more guns, ammunition, a baseball bat, binoculars, gloves, rope, and a knife.
He was convicted and sentenced. And what was his sentence?
He was charged with first-degree premeditated murder, but it was a bench trial, no jury, and the judge, a liberal judge by the name of Seth Norman in Nashville, Tennessee, dropped it to the lesser offense of only second degree. And in Tennessee, that's 15 to 25 years. He got 23 years at 100% with no parole, but that was a lie because he's been allowed to earn early release good behavior credits. So his current release date is in the fall of 2028. And that's terrifying for me.
Nikki, did he have a record?
He had no criminal record whatsoever, but he should have. I learned during the trial that he actually should have been a prohibited person. He should have never been able to purchase a gun. And there were a lot of things he had wrong with him mentally that people should have picked up on that knew him in the past. And for whatever reason, they didn't. And unfortunately, Ben and I, suffered the consequences of him not receiving the help that he needed, or, there should have been an intervention long before he ever showed up in Nashville, Tennessee.
Right. Now, Nikki, talk to us about what women can do, and most of the people who are stalked are women, what they can do to protect themselves. And why is it the media doesn't talk about the use of a gun for self-defense?
Sure. Well, I know you probably will have a hard time believing this, but did you know that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men over the span of their lifetime will be stalked? That's pretty high.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, those are the stats right now. And I did not realize that it was so high. But of course, situations like my own is extremely severe. It's the most severe. But yeah, a lot of people out there are stalked in their lifetime, and it's an important topic. Unfortunately, so many of these stalking awareness groups, these advocacy groups out there for victims, the advice that they give, I feel, is missing some very important information. And look, some of the advice they give may truly be needed. You know, a stalking victim might want to move. They might want to change their name. They might want to change their career, their job. They might not want to follow the same routine. But so much of the advice out there is for the victim to completely restructure their entire life, to basically run and hide. And there's not a lot of emphasis on the basic human right of self-defense. And you'll hardly ever find anything about, hey, we have a Second Amendment. You have the basic human right of self-defense. You can go get professional firearms training, get situational awareness training, and carry a handgun legally to protect yourself and your loved ones. And I feel like that is a very important message. Give it as an option, and then let victims decide what they feel is the best measure to take to protect themselves. But why is this subject seen as so taboo? I've decided that as a victim of a violent crime and stalking, my voice is important to educate people and say, hey, we need to talk about this.
You know, Nikki, it strikes me that had you or your husband had a concealed weapon and the law allowed it, the stalker would have thought twice about stalking for that very reason, let alone the fact that you possibly could have used it to deal with the stalker at the time.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, people think, oh, the police will take care of things. The police will protect me. Look, I'm a huge supporter of law enforcement, but even law enforcement knows they cannot be anywhere and everywhere at any time. And quite frankly, law enforcement has no constitutional duty to protect the individual. At the end of the day, you are your own first responder.
Nikki Goeser, Crime Prevention Research Center. Nikki, thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Larry.